On June 25, 1950, the Korean War was triggered by the attack of North Korean soldiers, and South Korea was in danger of being surrendered as the North Korean soldiers struck Seoul in 3 days. 16 countries supported South Korea with their military, and 6 countries gave medical aid. UN soldiers led by General MacArthur and the National Forces won Seoul back and took over Upper River. However, the Chinese troops intervened in the war and our soldiers had to retreat. After 3 years of war, South Korea and North Korea called a ceasefire, and Line 38 divided our territories. Since about 2 million soldiers from different countries fought in this war, the war left a great legacy. 620,000 national soldiers and 150,000 UN soldiers were killed. UNMC&K is a memorial space where the victims are buried. Hello, we are students of Busan International High School. Do you know where the only UN cemetery in the world is? It is the UN Memorial Cemetery located in Busan, Korea. The United Nations Memorial Cemetery in Korea is the only UN-designated cemetery in the world where the brave soldiers who sacrificed their lives for world peace and freedom rest in peace. A UN common cemetery is created for fallen UN troops in the Korean War in January 18, 1951. And after the completion of the construct in April of the same year, the remains of fallen UN troops who had been buried temporarily all over the country began to be buried. Currently, there are about 2,300 UN veterans from 11 countries, and it informs the worshippers to the UNMC&K about the importance of peace and freedom that we enjoy today. The Parliament of Korea volunteered the current UNMC&K ground for permanent use by the UN as a cemetery in August 1955 to honor the services and sacrifices made by the UN forces during the Korean War. The General Assembly accepted the proposal, and the UN Resolution 977 to establish the UN Nations Memorial Cemetery in Korea became effective in December of 1955. Korea Parliament proposed to the government this site to be declared sacred. The UNMC&K had been managed by UNCURK until UNCURK was dissolved in 1974. Since then, the Commission for the UNMC&K, consisting of 11 member nations, has been managing the UNMC&K. First, Main Gate. This main gate was designed by a Korean architect named Jung-up Kim as a symbol paying tribute to the fallen UN forces who sacrificed their precious lives in the Korean War. And the gate was dedicated by the citizens of Busan on 30 November 1966. The ends of the 8 pillars supporting the roof are designed to symbolize moments in eternity, expressing a soft and solemn standing for the fallen UN troops. This is Main Plaza. Working in through the main gate, one may see the entry arc to the cemetery on the left. The map of the cemetery and the statistics of the interred at UNMC&K are engraved on the wall near the entry arc. This is Memorial Service Hall. The Memorial Service Hall was built by the UN in memory of the UN fallen during the Korean War. It was completed on 21st August 1964. Architect Jung-up Kim, after carefully considering the diverse religious backgrounds of the UN forces, realized a design with 6 support beams and the triangle representing geometric abstraction and eternity. The stained glass decorating both sides of the service hall consists of many smaller artistic designs. It symbolizes an apostle of peace, sublimation, tragedies of war, love, and peace. There are 16 lines representing the 16 nations from the center of the floor radiating through the UN logo and the sailing to the sky. It is a fitting addition to the sanctity of the hall as it symbolizes the wish and will for non-occurrence of the tragedies of war. This is the Memorabilia Hall. Photos of the UN troops in the Korean War and memorial artifacts are exhibited as well as the first UN flag used in the Korean War. The photos are exhibited in alphabetical order of the nations. Below the photos, one can find various memorial artifacts. Also exhibited are pictures of the UNMC&K from the past, a variety of Korean War monuments in Korea, VIPs from around the world visiting the UNMC&K. This is Daunt Waterway. It is named after the youngest brave soldier interred at the UNMC&K, Mr. J.P. Daunt, an Australian soldier who fell at the age of 17. The waterway runs between the grave area and the green area and symbolically represents the line between life and invaluable sacrifice.
This is the monument for honoring the fallen soldiers of UN. The monument was constructed by the Korean government to forever honor the noble souls who gave up their lives during the Korean War to protect the country from communist aggression in the cause of world peace and freedom. The round pond symbolizes the universe, where the sky and the wall together with spirit of the fallen and the mind of the spectators are present. The steel helmet in the pond signifies war, while the lotus flower on the opposite side signifies a sublimation from war to peace. On the black stones of the wall are the names of 40,896 people, including the missing ones from 17 countries. We thank you again for your sublime sacrifice. The Unknown Soldier's Pathway was refurbished in 2008. Here, there are many things related to the number 11, which symbolizes the 11 countries whose nationals are currently interred in the UNMC&K. You can also see 11 cascades of water, 11 pine trees, and 11 water fountains along each side. This sums up to 22, which indicates the 22 countries who fought under the UN flag. The UN Forces Monument, same as the Wall of Remembrance, was funded by the Korean government. Facing the monument, you can see a dove which symbolizes peace. On the side walls, there are brass plates detailing the assistance by the UN nations and their casualties. There is also an engraved writing, UN Gunwiryongtap, the UN Forces Monument, by a former Korea President Chung Hee Park. This is a place that holds a part of Korean history. Here, many fallen UN soldiers are resting in peace, and they are the reason Korea could exist to this day. That is why the UNMC&K means a lot to the Korean people. We will never forget the fallen soldiers, their sacrifice, their will to help our country, and everything they did for us. If you ever come to Busan, how about visiting the UNMC&K?
Citizens use the position of the international market to earn money. Vintage Alley is located in Junggu, Busan. Vintage Alley, which mainly deals in vintage clothing, is also called the Vintage Shop in Nampodong and is considered a representative attraction of the international market. Vintage clothing refers to used clothing and shoes originally provided as relief supplies after the Korean War, but today it refers to used clothing from foreign countries and domestic countries. Street of All Things is a traditional market in Shinchangdong which established in the 1960s. The main items for sales are bedding, bags, and sound equipment. However, as the name suggests, the Street of All Things is a place where all kinds of things are sold, so if you want to buy a practical souvenir, please visit the Street of All Things.